morning and welcome to the Lyric Professors. I am Professor A, and I'm joined as ever by Professor Dogger, who is comatose behind me, and Professor J, who is on the other side of the world and has just picked up an axe. How are things on the other side of the world, Professor J?
Things are okay. It's not too cold, not too hot.
Good.
All lovely.
Copacetic.
Okay. So I have been promising to talk about the tuning that Mr. Sam Fender talks about. So I thought I'd dive straight in. So he uses Nashville tuning. Do you know what that is?
I don't know. I assume it's something to do with country music.
Well, I don't know if it's using country music, but it comes from, I believe, the 1950s when session players would use this tuning, mainly in Nashville, which was kind of was and kind of is still the sort of epicenter of a lot of American music.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I guess that goes back to the old adage of we've got both types of music here. We've got country and Western. So what they do, rather than having your normal strings that go from thicky ones, E, A, D, G, B, E, these ones are double wound and they're the daddy strings, the big bassy strings. The top four, so the E, A, D, and G, are thinner gauge, so they're much higher strings. So it gives you a very jingly jangly sound. It's bright and jangly and lacking low end, and in fact it doesn't always sound good on its own. In fact, the idea behind it is that it sounds really good in the mix, especially when you're mixing with other instruments or other guitars. It almost sounds like a 12 string, in which case, why would you not just use a 12 string, I guess is the next question. But then the advantage with that is that you could do a hard pan, you could have a sort of normal guitar in one field, and then your jingle jangle Nashville tune guitar on the left, one on the right, something like that. Also, you can apply different effects to both types. So it's something that is used a lot, particularly by session musicians, and a lot of people with multiple guitars will have one guitar that's in Nashville tuning, so that when they double track guitars, which invariably you have to do, it always sounds better to have two recordings of the guitar. They'll do one in normal tuning and one in Nashville tuning.
Right. So, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, it's not actually tuned differently, it's just got different strings.
Correct. It's not actually tuned differently. It's
so
the notes are all
still
still. That's a really good question. So yeah, I mean, the notes are the same. It's just they're an octave higher. So yeah, it's not really tuning per se.
So yeah, I noticed when watching live videos of Sam Fender, he pretty much changes guitar after every single song, and often, excuse me, Professor Dogger, and often for a guitar which looks visually identical. So I presume that's the Nashville tuning.
Potentially, yes, and also I did notice in the live stuff that I saw that occasionally he's swapping for guitars with capo or a capo,
Yes,
depending on how you want to say it. So, I mean, if you're a big star, someone's going to give you a guitar with a capo. What am I going to say? What do you say, capo or capo? What's that choice?
I think it's capo, isn't it? Well, certainly, if you're talking about a mafia boss, it's capo.
Sì, capo. Sì, baroni. Yeah, so you're going to have a guitar tech who can give you that, and also you do find that when you put a capo on a guitar, it does slightly, depending on if you don't put it on right, it does slightly detune some of the strings, so it is better to have a separate guitar. So the time that I saw him getting a different guitar, it was one with a capo on it. But maybe he has like a normal guitar and a guitar in Nashville, and maybe one with one with Capo. The luxury of being having a guitar tech, right?
And having the same name as a guitar company, you send your freebies.
Exactly.
Nice.
Serendipitous, huh?
To change your name to Professor J. Gratch or something.
Yeah. A hot topic.
Yes. Right, do we have anything else to say on such things, or shall we go to some lyrics? We have 3 songs left, then we're done with Mr. Fender for now. So
yes, let's dive in. So the first one we've chosen is "Spit of You." Do you want to talk about it, or should we dive straight in?
Well, I should say what it means, really, I guess, because it's probably not a universal term. But "spit of you" is I don't know if it is a Geordie thing specifically, but it's a slang term meaning exact resemblance. So,
and it's from Spitting Image, right?
Oh, I think it's much older than that.
"Spit of You." All right.
What the definition I read was it's as if one person had been spit out of another's mouth.
What a delightful way to express it.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, this is a song about Sam Fender's similarities to his dad, Alan Fender.
Did he get lots of free stuff from the
don't
Fender
know.
Musical
I
Instrument
think he was a
Corporation?
sort of more of a jobbing musician. He did sort of like weddings and things. He wasn't
Jobby.
Yeah.
Okay, right, some words. They say I'm the spit of you, and they're not wrong. Bury my head too. Stomach hurts all the time, can't shift it. Been like that since 8.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously addressing his father in this song. And people say that they're identical, and he says, well, yeah, they are. And he buries his head too, sort of subsumes. As we said before, people don't talk about things, especially in the macho Geordie area. And his stomach hurts all the time. I mean, that could just be because stress is causing it. Oh, well, I know he has some kind of immune deficiency syndrome.
Okay.
Which could mean he gets stomach infections or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is saying that I look like you, but also I've got the same
traits,
and potential mental challenges that you do too. And he's been like that since 8. So what happened to him at 8 years old?
We haven't done that line yet, but yes.
I've just said it.
Did you? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole verse.
8 was when he was kicked out of his father's home by his stepmother and went to live with his mother in the borders of Scotland, I believe. Which is strange because it's then suggesting that he becomes more like his father from the time he's not around his father so much. Yeah. It's all about toxic masculinity, basically, just as 90% of his songs are.
They really are, aren't
Rest
they?
about the government, which is pretty toxic itself. So that's
It's not Britain is toxic. Okay, more words. Knotted up with the baggage, neck like a stone. All sounds just like you. Smashing cups off the floor and kicking walls through. That's me and you.
Yeah, I don't understand neck like a stone. It's interesting because he's so tense all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could make my neck feel like a stone, to be honest.
But it's
yeah.
I mean, if you've got a weight on your shoulders, it sort of drags your neck down.
Yes.
So that's the way that I perceived it. It's just something around him, I mean, it comes really down to, a millstone around his neck, right?
Yes.
Which is biblical, right?
I believe so, yes. And the
so baggage. It was a baggage, something that you have to, a millstone around your neck is something that you have to carry with you. It's a metaphor, it's not a natural thing.
Also, of course, you've got the albatross around your neck from Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Coleridge. Be a similar thing.
Oh yes.
You should have said knotted up with the albatross. That'd be much better.
You should drop him a line and see what he says.
See if he fancies singing that live instead.
Yeah. Well, we could do our own version. We'll just just shout albatross, albatross, albatross.
Yes. So yeah, but it's all again about the way his dad doesn't cope with any of his problems. He just lets them get the better of him, and he's obviously got an anger problem, smashing cups off the floor and kicking walls through, which is quite difficult, by the way. I've tried it a couple of times.
Depends on your balls, I guess.
Yeah, it's easier to punch through walls than kick through them, I find. But that's a long time ago. Yeah, so I mean, this song really resonates with me because not physically, I'm not the spit of my father because I've got this stupid long hair or whatever, but we both have the receding thing and the beard. And I do, as I say, cut my beard off fairly frequently because it looks too much like him in the mirror. But being prone to anger is definitely something I shared with my father, who was passed away 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And not sort of tolerating people when you should do. I think basically a lot of my bad character traits came from my father. So that's nice. Oh, and also my hereditary liver disease. Thanks, Dad. Some people shouldn't be allowed to breed. Anyway. Yeah, back to that then. Yeah, he's saying that, yeah, he's identical to his dad in the way he looks and in the way they act and deal with things.
Yeah. Right, then we've got this sort of versey refrainy thing, however we want to call it.
Chorus.
Chorusy, yeah. I can talk to anyone, I can't talk to you.
I can talk to anyone, I can talk to anyone. I can't talk to you. Yeah.
Right.
It's he's saying he'd find it even easier to talk to a complete stranger about his problems than he would to talk to his dad about them. They have no emotional connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an uncommon thing, right?
It's not. No. I think similarity sort of breeds contempt in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. More lines. You kissed her forehead and it ran like a tap. No more than 4 stone soaked wet through. And I've never seen you like that. Spun me out. Hurt me right through.
Yeah.
That.
Referring to a specific event, which was the funeral of Sam's grandmother, his father's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And as I believe is the custom in places Geordie, she was displayed in an open coffin and people would bend over and kiss her on the forehead. And he's saying that when his father kissed his grandmother on the forehead, he cried the first time he'd ever seen.
Yeah. So no more than 4 stones soaked wet through. That's
I presume that's the grandmother.
him or the grandmother. That's 25 kilos.
Yeah.
It's about the weight of an 8-year-old, but maybe not the weight of an old lady.
Depends what she died of, to be frank.
Yeah, that's true. But it's not much.
No, it isn't. Yeah, it's a bit confusing. I mean, you could, if you didn't know what the song was about, he kissed her forehead and it ran like a tap. Could have been a Glasgow kiss, a bit of domestic violence.
Yeah. So we're saying the run like tap is tears.
I think it's tears.
Glasgow kiss, which is a headbutt for those unfamiliar with that.
And he says, and I've never seen you like that. He's never seen his dad show emotion.
Yeah.
Spun him out, which threw him for a loop, we might say.
Hurt him right through.
Yes. I don't know why.
Phrase, or was that just good scanning?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't understand why suddenly seeing that your dad could show emotions would hurt you right through. Surely that'd be. You think that was a good thing if you thought he was previously toxically masculine. I don't know.
When you're 8 years old, maybe you don't want to see your dad crying.
I don't. He was 8 at that time. This was later.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it was. But,
yeah. All right, let's go to the final verse. 'Cause it was love in all its agony, every bit of me hurting for you. Because one day that'll be your forehead I'm kissing, and I'll still look exactly like you.
Of course, he goes on to explain why he said hurt me right through, and I forgot about that. Yes. Because I think he realizes that although they don't get along and they don't emotionally connect. He does. This gesture has shown him that he loves his father and shows that his father loved his mother very much. And he feels really sorry for his dad. And says, of course, he realizes fairly soon his dad will be in the coffin and he'll be kissing his forehead and probably crying.
Yeah, and yet in the final lyrics, which is the reverse repeat of the chorus, there's a lot of "and I can talk to anyone, can't talk to you." Repeat, repeat. Say hey.
Yes, it ends with a hey, which is always nice. That's very poppy. That's the upbeat bit of the song. Yeah. Professor Dogger has something to say and is working up to say it.
Come on, Dogger. Get it out your system. Get it out.
You like a quote from Sam Fender?
Please?
Shared on social media. So
Ooh,
it's on the internet, but so must be true. I don't know where. It's based around my own relationship with my old man and how we both struggle as blokes to communicate the way we feel to each other without it becoming a standoff. It's about how the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. As I get further into my 20s, I see so much of myself in him, especially when it comes to being stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's another classic Sam Fender, isn't it? It's vaguely, if not strictly, autobiographical. It's very personal. It's, like you said, addressing this toxic masculinity. It's on point.
Yes, I have another quote from The Guardian. This one's attributed. He said, "I've never seen him like that. I saw him as me, as a son, and saw his loss. You give your parents a hard time because, of course, they will do things and upset and hurt you. It's hard to raise a kid, especially when there's divorce and money issues. There were things that happened that I used to hold a grudge about, but a lot of it was my own fault because I never said what I needed to say. You don't know how to communicate these things when you grow up in Shields." I don't think particularly where you grow up is that relevant.
No, or the environment.
So this was the fourth single from the second album.
Was a good song.
Yeah, so you've seen the video?
Yeah. This is the one when they're in the pub, right? St. Paul in the pub.
Yeah, well, this stars Stephen Graham, the actor, as his dad, who you no doubt recognised from things such as Snatch. He was Tommy, was it, in Snatch?
I recognise him, but I couldn't place who he was.
That's right. He does a lot of dramas on ITV and BBC. And
you got the marble. I think you got the marbles, the minerals.
Minerals.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's also appeared in 2 videos by Arctic Monkeys, a video by Baby Bird, a video by Dead Mouse, and one by Kasabian. So he loves a bit of a video.
He was in When the Sun Goes Down.
Yes, Arctic Monkeys. That's right.
Yeah, I remember that. That's a really good video. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Do you want the word count?
Oh, hold on.
It is time for Professor J's word count.
1, 2, 4. Okay. So this, I'm not going to let you guess. This is total of 214 words with 91 unique words.
Less than 50%.
It's, I mean, again, it's 2 times that of Ben Folds' recommendations, but it's he's pretty steady. We'll see that later. I'll do a little review later.
Oh, right.
Should we go for the next song?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so the next we've chosen Mantra.
Okay.
Some words.
She's doing something.
Please stop trying to impress people who don't care about you. I repeat as a mantra. I've known this wicked waltzer all too long. It's the cycle I'm stuck on, and I'm trying to be better, but I fall at every hurdle.
Yeah, this is a different song in many ways to most of his oeuvre. In that it's basically based around a log guitar solo. It's not the standard verse, chorus, verse, refrain, chorus, radio-friendly unit shifter. It's Yeah, it's very much the words sort of fit in around the guitar. I think it's fantastic guitar work. I'm the expert.
Yeah,
very
much.
Yes. But anyway, yeah, it's different. It moves at a different pace to the rest of the songs on the album. It's strange.
Yeah.
I think most of his songs are about the same tempo, it seems to me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so he's talking to himself, basically, as a mantra. What's the definition of a mantra?
A mantra is either a sound or word or phonemes, soundy wordy things that you repeat to engender something, and they can have the people who do them believe they have religious, magical, spiritual powers.
It's common in Buddhism and such, I believe.
I believe, yes, it is, but isn't it originally Hindi?
Well,
Originally, it's Hindi. I was given a mantra one time by when I was dabbling in martial arts. I didn't really like it. I wanted more from a mantra.
Make your own.
I was not allowed to tell anyone what it was.
Oh right, okay. Might let the magical spiritualism out if you did. Yes.
Yeah, so he's got this mantra.
Which is, he says, stop trying to impress people who don't care about you. I'd argue to some extent that being a musical performer, you're doing that all the time, whether you mean to or not, because you're playing music, which will be either liked or not by people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fair enough.
He's on a waltzer. What's a waltzer?
It's a fairground ride. Sort of the carousel kind where you don't do that. Naughty. Where you sit on sort of classically sort of horses and things and hold a pole and it goes up and down and round and round and stuff. No?
No, it's not actually. So that's a merry-go-round or a carousel, like you said. So that's something that just goes, I'll put it this way, goes round and round. A waltzer is when you've got cars that spin round on the axes of the circle.
Right.
So it's something for me that is massively vomit-inducing. I don't think I could even go on them as a kid. And it's very, very common in British and Irish fairs. So yes, it consists of a number of cars which spin freely while rotating around a central point, much the same way as a carousel. And as the cars revolve, the floor of the ride undulates over a track, so the cars rise and fall as the rides spin. And it's the ones when, like, if you push yourself back, you can make it spin more or less.
I've never had much interest in such things. I'm terrible at fairground rides and roller coasters and things. Went on one in California. That's you standing up and it spun you upside down. Oh, it's kidding.
Oh, yeah. Right, it's something that's spinny winny, right? So he's on this thing that's spinny winning him round.
Yeah. It brings to I don't want to, I was going to say it brings to mind a lyric from something we've done before, but that was before this series. Forget that. Yes, so it's a cycle he's stuck on. Cycle obviously referring to a wheel going round, but also a cycle of life. Intruder. Yes. He's trying to be better, but he's falling at every hurdle. So it's a bit of a mixed metaphor, to be honest.
It's got a lot of metaphors, right? We've got a mantra, we've got waltzers,
it's a cycle, or it's a hurdle.
Yeah. But it's very clear what he's saying, right?
Yes.
Not try and impress others, but he keeps trying to do it and he keeps failing. And as you said, it's kind of the nature of his job, almost.
Yes.
Try and make people. Yeah. Okay. So, more words. Please stop trying to find comfort in these sociopaths. Their beauty is exclusively on the surface. As they pull you side to side, all their drugs and who's stories, and fill that empty space from being a child or something like that.
Sorry about this, Professor
Jogger.
She does like a bit of Sam Fender.
Yeah, really.
Yes. So I admire anyone who fits sociopaths into a song. That's great. What is a sociopath?
I don't have an exact definition of sociopath. It's someone who I don't know. Tell me. I can't think of a way to say it.
Today, people would call it having an antisocial personality disorder. Probably.
Yeah.
It's not caring about society or anyone else at all, basically. A lot of top businessmen are said to be probably sociopaths. It's the way you get there. Think of your Elon Musk and that kind of thing. Couldn't care less about anyone else.
So they don't follow social norms, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So he's talking about, I think, sorry, my computer's beeping in my ears. I don't care. Go away. Right. I think what it says on Genius is he's referring to is talking about modern celebrities, social media, and idealized media. They portray themselves as beautiful people with every want and need from life, but their true emotions, they are far from that, plagued with addiction and poor mental health, usually due to a rough upbringing. So, according to that, it's talking about how most people in the public eye are probably fitting that mold. Because I think in order to become famous, unless it's just something that happens accidentally, like you save someone from a burning car or something, then you have to have a certain type of personality to get there. You have to be sort of very focused on it, very ruthless, and not bothering about treading on people on the way up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on the drugs and the Who's Who stories, obviously, is about just the drugs taken by these celebrities and the stories. Was it kiss and tell stories? They used to be called in the social media.
I wonder if it's talking about journalists.
Yeah, I mean that's that part is.
Yeah.
Fill the empty space from being a child or something like that.
That's an did you think that was kind of? Do you think that was lazy, right? Or something
yeah,
like
I mean,
that? What did you think?
Well, as I say, I think this whole
you may
thing
have said "woo yeah, woo yeah, 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 woo."
It's just the words are just there as a background for the guitar solo. I think. So,
yeah.
And I can't. It's not even as though something like that rhymes with anything. It's quite all whatevs. You know. Yeah, I don't know. I know there were a lot of stories at one point about him being involved with Ariana Grande. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's presumably the Who's Who stories he's referring to.
Right.
So, yeah. Again, it has to be autobiographical because it's Sam. Yeah.
Okay. Pretty clear. Okay, the last verse, if we can call it thus. Straddle these rusted wheels and pedal through the gridlock. On this dry summer evening, turn my phone off. I'm not receiving anything or anyone. Just the sound of the empty caverns in my skull. Self-loathing will be cold if I rise above this lull. There's a rhyme. I saw a rhyme. Skull
Yes,
and lull.
exactly,
They
yeah.
rhyme.
It should be self-loathing will be cold or something like that. Yes. So he's back to his bike metaphor, straddling his rusted wheels and pedalling through the gridlock. Although I doubt he does.
When was there a previous bike metaphor?
It's the cycle I'm stuck
on. I didn't have that as a bike.
No. Well, it doesn't have to. It has two meanings,
But
doesn't it?
It's nice. I like the fact that it's referring back to that.
Yeah. And a lot of his videos involve people riding around on bikes. Not the way you ride bikes for torturing yourself to death or whatever, but just riding around on bikes in the neighbourhood.
Do that too.
So he's talking about he's riding a bike with rusted wheels. So either he hasn't got around to buying a new one since becoming famous, or this is a thinking back in time metaphor. So, gridlock. We all know what gridlock is. It's becoming more and more of a thing everywhere you go. Traffic.
Big old traffic jam, isn't it?
Traffic jammed up. Yeah, that's the one. And as he's doing this pedaling through the gridlock, he tells us it's a dry summer evening.
Yeah,
which is nice. Occasionally have one of those. Yeah. He's turning his phone off and not wanting to talk to anyone or hear anything from anyone. Just dealing with his thoughts in the caverns of his skull, which is very similar to a Waterboy's lyrics. So I'm still convinced he is inspired, but I still say that 17 Going Under is very like Fisherman's Blues.
Yeah.
And self-loathing will be cold if I rise above this lull. So he's basically saying if he can cut himself off from everyone, anything and anyone, for a while and just be with himself, then perhaps he can rise above this and not feel the self-loathing that apparently he does feel. Which
Yeah,
he
so
hadn't told us
self-loathing to be cold. So self-loathing will go away.
Yeah.
You can just get through this. Beat his mantra. Stop trying to impress people who don't care about you.
So yeah, that's that. It's a song with 3 verses, no refrains or choruses, no woe yeahs, and a big guitar solo, and it's really quite good.
And in the lyrics I've got, he doesn't like G's.
G's? He's got a gridlock.
Every evening or receiving,
yes, true.
There's no G's on the end of an ing.
A couple of tries, a B in.
Yeah. But the only G, well, there's a long and a gridlock, and that's about it. Yeah. The other G he's an anti-G. Come on, Fender.
Not a G thing.
The old G dog.
Would you like me to press my sting button?
No, I'm going to hold it till after the final one. Sting.
Oh right, okay. Well, do we have anything else to say about Mantra? I have a quote from.
No.
I have one quote. That's all I can find from Sam Fender via Apple Music. I think this was the interview he did with Elton John.
Yeah.
You find yourself in the company of sociopaths in this business. You sometimes worry that maybe that means you are too. And I don't think I'm a sociopath. Got too much empathy for that one. I think I'm a vulnerable narcissist at worst. This song's about figuring out that you can't pay so much attention to these people who genuinely don't care about you and they're only there to bolster themselves. I've had low self-esteem for a long time. I've always tried to seek validation from people that aren't actually that nice. So that just sums it up completely.
Yeah. Good. More autobiographical, semi-autobiographical.
Yes.
Toxic. Yeah. Personal. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Should we dive into our last Sam Fender
let's do it.
tune?
The Dying Light.
Dying Light. Okay, I'm diving straight in. This town is a world of waifs and strays, comedy giants, penniless heroes. Dead men at the bar, I've drank with them all through misadventure and drag.
Well, this town, I presume, is North Shields. Again.
What's a waif and a stray?
Typically refers to people who don't have anywhere to live or just wandered off the path of modern life, I guess. A waif historically was a very sort of pale and undernourished child, I believe, back in Dickensian times. Stray, obviously, is someone who's lost as a stray dog. Yeah. So this town is a world of waifs and strays, so everyone feels lost or is lost.
Yeah. With penniless heroes, so heroes without money. I didn't quite get the comedy giants bit.
What I thought, and what other people agree with on Genius, is it could be talking about people like Ant and Dec, who are considered to be television royalty in this country. A couple of lads from Geordie places that have
true.
appeared on children's television together when children then did a execrable pop career together, and now present big shows like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and have a Saturday night show, and kinds of things. So I thought it could well be referring to them.
Yeah.
And the penniless heroes could be referring to war veterans.
Right. Yes, that would make sense.
Just saying that, talk about homeless people, waifs and strays. Sam Fender was made the patron of the charity Northeast Homeless in early 2022 after supporting years.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's obviously something that's dear to his heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So he's drunk with all these people who are now dead.
Yes.
Presumably.
I think we should do a quote from this one.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Apple Music interview. He says, "This is a sequel to Dead Boys, which we examined in episode 1.
Yep.
It's in the perspective of someone who's actually thinking they might take their own life. I wanted it to be the triumph over it in the moment when you decide, no, I'm not going to do this, or I can't leave those behind." So yes,
Yeah.
It is the dead men at the bar rather than dead boys he's talked about before. Presumably he's imagining them as grown up now at the bar as ghosts.
Right. Right. And then I don't quite understand this last line. Through misadventure, I understand that. That's things. But the drag? What's the drag? They dressing up as ladies?
I don't know. I'm just wondering if they have a drag act at the bar. I couldn't work out what that was.
Unless it's just the drag of the drag of life.
But with all the drag queen programs that are on television these days, he must have known people would interpret it that way. So I don't.
Yeah.
Perhaps they did like dressing up as girls. Who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting choice of word. Not trying to rhyme it. He doesn't bother with that, does he? There are rhymes in this. But... Right. Okay. Next words. But I'm alone here, even though I'm physically not. And those dead boys are always there. There's more every year.
Yeah. So he's saying even though he's surrounded by others, perhaps these sociopaths he's mentioned in Mantra, he still feels very much alone.
Or maybe not even that. Maybe, like his relationship with his father, he's with him, but he can't talk to him, so he's alone.
And there's more of these dead boys every year. Harking back to the song Dead Boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so next line, maybe I could use a hand. I must admit, I'm out of bright ideas. To keep the hell at bay. Destruction only lasts a day.
Yeah. Meaning, well, as in the quote I said, it's from the perspective of someone who is considering ending their life. We should have said the trigger warning again, but I think you'll have realised that if we're talking about Sam Fender, there will be triggers.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, maybe you could use some help from someone, the Samaritans.
Yeah. Yes, please do.
He's out of bright ideas to keep the hell at bay. He can't think of how to keep the bad thoughts away.
So he's talking about himself, right? He's not talking about trying to help.
He's talking about the narrator.
Yeah, the narrator. I could use a hand. I'm running out of ideas. Keep this hell at bay. Destruction only lasts a day. What does that mean?
Distractions only last a day.
I've got it as destruction.
No, it's distractions. So things which take your mind off it only lasts a day.
Right. Thank you. That makes more sense. Thank you. Okay, more words. The night is so impossible. It haunts the few who dare to look. Its marks are so hereditary. I'm terrified of having kids.
Yeah. So he's talking about distractions only last a day. He can distract himself during the day, but night is much worse.
Yeah.
Speaking as someone who suffers from night terrors, I can very much agree with that. Although it doesn't necessarily mean that you're fine during the day either. But yes, nights are terrible. There's nothing to distract you, particularly if, like myself, you live in a close packed environment with lots of neighbours and thin walls, so you can't just watch videos all night or play music or whatever. You've got to be quiet, and it makes things really quite bad sometimes.
Yeah, and then he talks about this being hereditary. So his father had it, and then he's
it is the current thinking that depression can be to some extent hereditary. Again, something I got from my father. and his mother.
Yeah.
I believe Philip Larkin had a quote about it. They F you up, your mum and dad. Talking about hereditary. It's about the one thing I took from my English degree.
Okay. Small words. But I'm damned if I give up tonight. I must repel the dying light from mum and dad and all my pals, for all the ones who didn't make the night. And then it finishes with some oh yeah yeah oh hey heys.
Yes.
So this ends on a positive thing, right? He's contemplating.
Yeah, he's basically saying that in honour of all these dead boys and in honour of his mother and father and his living friends, he's not going to put them through it. So, yes, he's going to do whatever he can to keep carrying on.
Comes with a positive spin at the end, which is
does.
good.
So from the beginning of this verse 2, the piano starts. It goes dudum, 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 and it's basically a heartbeat. So I think that's the heartbeat that's keeping him alive. That's meant to represent. I think it's quite a clever piece of music. This is used a lot on BBC television. An instrumental version of this is used at the end of every episode of MasterChef when they're voting someone off. Yeah, I think the music's absolutely beautiful. I really do. I like this one a lot. But again, it's something you could listen to, hear it on the radio and think, oh, that's really good. I like that. And then you look at the lyrics and think, oh, okay. Yeah. It's a difficult song about difficult subjects. But as you say, it ends on a positive note. The next single he released was massively depressing, so I don't know about that. And we'll wait his new album, which will probably be talking about what he did when he was 19, I should think. So we've done 17 and 18 with this.
Is he following the Adele approach then?
Oh, could well be, yes.
One every 5 years.
You have to wonder when she'll give up. Is she really going to put out one called 63 or something? Another quote.
Oh, please.
I've got this is from, I believe it's a magazine. It's from something called Dork, anyway. Yeah, it was written when I was going through a time when I realised that I needed a bit of help. I just wasn't dealing with anything. I always just thought that, well, everyone has their issues and stuff. That's a terrible bit of pasting. I thought if I became a famous rock star, it would just fix everything. What I realised is it fixed my financial problems and I could help my mum out finally. It didn't fix the feelings. It didn't fix my imposter syndrome. It didn't fix the way I felt as a man. It took us a bit of time to sort that one. All of the things you don't like yourself for before, they don't go away. If anything, it's amplified because you've got more reasons to dislike yourself because you're like, well, now you've got money, you think you're effing brilliant. They're still all my mates. The only people I really hang out with from the celeb world is like a couple of other bands that I get on with. I like the lads from Fontaine's DC, and I'm pals with Elton John and that, but my friend group is still very much my mates from home. When I've got trouble, they're still the people that I go to. So it's good. Despite all his talk about toxic masculinity, it's good that he and his mates do talk about problems. So
yeah, that's great.
Good example to people of the area, I would say.
Yeah. Keeps his feet on the ground, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I mean, again, in resume about Sam Fender, it's very, very different to anything else that we've reviewed. I would say it's very personal, very autobiographical, quasi autobiographical. Sometimes very personal, addressing problems.
I'd say that's fairly similar to Lana Del Rey.
Yes. But hers was there's a lot in there. You're right. But his ones are all the same. Yeah. Some of hers are a bit more out there, whereas these ones are all very much this. There we go.
It is indeed this. Correct.
Sting me.
It is time for Professor J's word count.
1, 2, 4. Okay, now the reason I stung these last two together is that mantra has a total of 130 words. Dying Light has a total of 133 words. Mantra has unique 96 words, and Dying Light unique 96 words.
Right.
And it's in terms of unique words, Play God is 86, Getting Started is 86, Spit of You 91, Mantra and Dying Light 96. Right. So it's actually very consistent with the number of his words with the songs that we've chosen.
Yes, he has a formula too. She's mates with Ben Folds. She's a sociopath.
Well, he's double Ben Folds.
Yeah.
He's a doubly good mate. All right. Have we got anything else to say on Sam Fender before we go for today's quiz?
No, only that I'm looking forward to his next album, but I expect it'll be around sometime this year or next.
Great. It's good. I really enjoyed these songs.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So, quiz.
Oh, there's a quiz.
Yes. Is there a quiz sting yet?
There is not. I should work on that.
Okay.
Thing is, I'm running out of buttons on my stream deck.
Quiz. That's new. It's the new quiz sting.
Good, yeah.
We have 7 questions on the Fender Musical Instrument Company, not on Samuel Fender himself. I will, as usual, I will read through the questions and then I will come back for the answers at the end. Okay, number 1. Which is the incorrect Fender model? Stratocaster, Mustang, Les Paul, Jazzmaster. Question 2. Before guitars, what did Leo Fender do? Because Fender is named after its former founder, Leo Fender. When was Fender formed? Which year? Which was the first Fender electric guitar? Was it the Stratocaster, the Telecaster, the Esquire, or the Lap Steel? Question 5. What sort of guitar style did Leo Fender play? Question 6. When was the Stratocaster first introduced? And question 7, final question. What is the name of Fender's line of electric mandolins?
Oh, right.
Mandocaster, the Newporter, the Acoustamandolin, or the FM? That concludes the question. So,
excellent.
Which is the incorrect model? Stratocaster, Mustang, Les Paul, or Jazzmaster?
Les Paul.
Correct, because that is, of course. Before guitars, what did Leo Fender do?
Was he a carpenter?
No, he was actually trained as an electronics technician. So he had his own little company, which was Fender's Radio Service. And in fact, that's how it all started, because he was fixing radios and someone asked him to fix a PA system.
Right.
And by that, he got into music. So he had Fender's Radio Service before, but what year was Fender formed?
So people still cared about radios at the time.
Well, he moved from radio to Fender musical instruments.
It's quite a while. Was it 1935? Something like that?
1946. Right. Which was the first Fender electric guitar? Stratocaster, Telecaster, Esquire, Lap Steel.
I thought it was a Telecaster.
No. So he actually started with these Hawaiian lap steel guitars in like this 1946 time. So that's him and a guy called Kaufman. I think they were F and K at the beginning. They had a system, a patent for electrifying, is the right word, Hawaiian lap steel guitars, so they could be heard. That was always a problem. Because at the time you had these big-bodied guitars, and then as bands got louder, you couldn't hear the guitar.
Sure.
And people would use microphones, but they would feed back horribly. So some of those first attempts to make electric guitar with the ES, that's where the Gibson ES comes from. It's an electric Spanish, so they would electrify a Spanish guitar, which is a big hollow body guitar, but of course they feed back a lot. So he did the lap steel first in the 40s, and then he did the what became the Telecaster. But before it was a Telecaster, officially it was the Esquire first, which is a single pickup, and then there was the Broadcaster, which somebody had a patent for that name. So it was released as a Broadcaster, and they had to scrub that, and it got released finally as a Telecaster. So the Telecaster was certainly ahead of the Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Okay, question 5. What style guitar did Leo Fender play?
Blues?
No, this was a trick question. Leo Fender never played the guitar. Yeah, he was just an electronics guy who fell into this room. Okay, when was the Stratocaster, probably the best-selling guitar ever in the world, when was that first introduced?
53.
Very close. I'll give you a point for that. 54. 1954. It was also the year that the Fender Precision Bass was introduced.
Right.
I read one time an argument that the introduction of the Fender Precision Bass changed the course of history. Without an electrified bass, because again, they had the same problem that there was electric guitars, but the sort of, big double bass couldn't keep up with the loudness of music. Without having an electrified bass that no one else was doing, no one else thought that was possible to do that. There would have been no bass in music. There would have been no rock and roll.
Yeah.
There would have been no teenage revolution, money going towards teens and all this sort of thing. So the full argument is the world has the Fender Precision Bass, one of the most important inventions of the 20th century.
Yeah. See that?
Yes. Okay. There we go. And then finally, number 7. What is the name of Fender's line of electric mandolins? Is it the Mandocaster, the Newporter, the Acoustic mandolin, or the FM?
Newporter.
It's the Mandocaster.
That was too obvious.
Yeah, it was a bit obvious, wasn't it? But actually, I'd probably have gone for the Acoustic mandolin myself, because they have this range of Acoustasonics, which are kind of like a Stratocaster, but acoustic. They're a bit weird. There we are.
Oh,
that concludes the quiz.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we are done with Sam Fender. Next, we have a video episode, and then we have our new episode where we each pick a song that deserves comment but isn't from an artist we necessarily want to do a whole series on, or doesn't have a video. So that's what happens, and then we're on to our second artist, which will be Professor J's choice.
Yay.
Yeah. So join us for our exciting video episode next week, which will be, I can exclusively reveal, a song by Arab Strap.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So there we go.
Scottish Rockers.
Yes. So do you have anything else to say, Professor?
Nothing from me.
Well, give us a like, give us a thingy, subscription, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.